analytics running through all the project pages for my teams. And I'm very interested to look at the activity around the world, and especially the cities. And when we do Java user groups or JBoss user groups, it's very important information so we can reach out to you and engage with the community. And 4 of the top 10 cities, one country has it, and it's India. So I think I'm very, very happy, and I keep coming here, and there's a reason why. And guess who's the #1 city worldwide for consuming our JBoss project? So you guessed it's Bangalore. So I'm very, and GIS is at the right location, especially for open source, for the community, for reaching out to people. And I've been traveling about 2 weeks ago in India again, and with Arun Gupta. Arun Gupta also is a frequent speaker to GIDS and other conferences in India, and he joined us recently from Oracle. And no, I talked to him. No, I'm joking. We always talk to each other. And he joined me 2 weeks ago in Pune, actually, and we run a Java user group there. And we also connected to the local universities. And Linux, actually, I've been in India for a long, long time, but we haven't seen much middleware, or we've seen some middleware activities. But what we want to do today is actually reaching out to academia, not just because the ecosystem around open source is not just about committing code on GitHub or Subversion and be part of a project. It's also research in the academia. We've worked with a lot of you guys, and you guys contributed a lot to some of the algorithm. For example, eviction policy algorithm come from the academia, from Indian universities. So we want to engage more. And the students actually took a step forward. And when we talked to them, although they were preparing for the exam, I don't know if you prepare your exam right now. Maybe you should be there, but thanks for coming. So I think it was an opportunity for us to engage with them, and we're trying to talk with the teacher and see how we can have, develop internship programs, how we can bring open source closer to the students, and not only from a paradigm, from a concept, but also they can learn from the development model we use in the community. And it was very enlightening to see that actually a very large number of these students already are committed on GitHub. And I could see actually few of them don't need to send their CVs. They're already there. It's a very powerful channel, very powerful vector to use open source to promote yourself. So I see lots of #1s around me, and I'm very excited. There's a large pool of talents, and open source is a very, very good way to promote yourself. And everything you do there, you'll see. And you can engage with the community. It's not anymore, your thesis will never stay in a drawer. It's a time for you to put it online and expose yourself, expose your ingenuity, and work with others. So I think the world is getting a lot better from that, and the students get it. So it was very good, very enlightening for me. So what's happening at JBoss? So I think in February 2014, I'm going to jump on Java EE. We've achieved Java EE 7 certifications, and Java EE actually brought a few new APIs, and we'll discuss later on what does that mean. And I think it was a necessary add-on to EE 7, especially in the enterprise world. So the first part of these advancements is around enterprise. So I think Spring contributed to Batch, the Batch API, and I think that was welcome. I meet a lot of sometimes customers also in government and transport in India, and they want these things, these simple things. And I think it was about time. There also an increment on some specs like JMS, so it's a lot easier today. And around mobility, and it's not just about mobile devices, but Internet of Things. So JSON API, I think, has been added. Also, you'll have increments on WebSockets and the likes. So I think, servlets. So JSON, WebSockets as add-ons to the APIs, and increments on the likes of servlet specs. Productivity. So, I mean, in my days when I used to write code, I still do, but not as much. But We used to hate writing, EE, especially in the 1.4 days. 1.5 got better, but with EE6, the world changed, I think. And it was also by a big push from the likes of Springs. We needed to improve the way we go about writing simple applications. So annotation of POJOs, the investment from Red Hat on the spec, a CDI spec, bear fruit, and now it's actually a default in EE7. Now I could have started the EE8, so again, it's not a shift into the programming model, so it's an increment on the APIs. There is the results there. You can look online, so they're available for everyone. Red Hat has been very committed to, of course, open source, but more importantly to OpenJDK. OpenJDK 8, especially on ARM and different type architectures, there is a lot of work going on, especially driven by the world of smaller devices, very low consumption, very small footprint. And some of the conferences we had, especially at JotCon, we demonstrated we could run Linux, Fedora 18 with OpenJDK, and also Wildfly on it. So Java EE6 and now EE7, all the services. You can run the batch API or messaging on the ARM processors of 700 megahertz with 256 megabits of memories. We work a lot also, I think that was something that was undonated. There's a lot of advancements on near real-time computing and especially low latency garbage collection. So we have a project today, so you don't have to license other technologies. So it's available on OpenJDK. Very much geared towards huge, large memory pages, like 100 gigs and above. So where garbage collection is usually a big issue. We also bring Thermostat as a project. All these are open source projects. We do everything in the open, so we don't hide anything, and everything is available to you on OpenJDK as well. So we have instrumentations and up to multiple JVM on the same local host. Okay, and in the future we'll do also distributed JVM instrumentations. So I hope you change your passwords. I think we talked a lot about security recently. I know I didn't change mine, so I better do that. But we're very focused, and I work with the security response team at Red Hat. And again, it's done in the open. We created vulnerability databases that are available to you. So today, like we do when we develop, let's say, the application server, Wildfly, every single pull request goes against these databases. So we can detect signatures, vulnerabilities, and soon we also add the things like static code analysis. So in your development lifecycle, and I mentioned the students already, and universities already get it. They map exactly what we do. With GitHub, with all the Maven plugin we have, all the coordinates we have available for them, they can write safe, secure code and sound code. So, and we don't do it at the QE stage or just before going into production. At every single pull request we have joining our project, we do that today. So I think these are great advancements, and the graph next to it is actually the number of fingerprints that goes over time. So I think that shows the usefulness of these capabilities. Also, when you use open source, you have to understand the Java middleware is a very large plane of attack for not just OpenSSL also, but in the Java world we see lots of vulnerabilities coming regularly. Red Hat works very closely with security firms, also scan all the forums, all the user groups, all the security groups, and work in close relationship with them. So when there is an issue, we can embargo it, create a patch, and deliver it. So we are unique in that sense that I think we're probably the only open source, I would say, vendor, because lots of people ship open source, but they actually don't know what they're shipping. They don't know if the dependencies or transitive dependencies of these packages are vulnerabilities. We know it, and we have developed an asynchronous mechanism to deliver asynchronous patches to you. Okay, so that's very unique, and I think that's very important in today's world, where security you don't want to wait the next release of the software or to find out on the web, or when it's too late, when you've been compromised, or there's exploits all over your enterprise. So that's I think that's very important. And you see that with Deliver, Maven, Ant, and Eclipse plugins. So I recommend you to add that to your development and cycle, okay? Not in QE, not just before production. Okay. Zap. We committed to Java EE. Lots of people ask, okay, what is happening to Java EE? Should I write JavaScript on Node.js? So there is a lot of Java is here. With Wi-Fi A, we certified E7. We're going to work on E8. And as I mentioned earlier, E8 is an increment on the spec, on the APIs. But there is lots of advancement that are very interesting to us, especially around mobility, WebSocket, JSON batch. We also, with Whitefly, the little icon, I don't know if we used to call it JBoss AS, or the latest iteration was AS8. And I think we did a bit of rebranding. All the projects have their own name. They're not called JBoss Transaction or JBoss Application Server. They have their own name. So actually, last year, I think I mentioned that, we actually did it in the open. We asked you guys to send us name suggestions. And I think the winner, and the one that was legal also, and not taken, was Whitefly. So Whitefly is in the app server. In addition to the API change, we also brought a new high-performance runtime for the web container, which is called Undertow. So we've done some, well, we haven't done, but there is some independent parties who run against different frameworks, whether it's Servlet, Grizzly, Netty, Tomcat, etc. And you can check them online. I think it's Tech and Power. And we reach 1 million transactions per second on their environment with Undertow. So this is very promising, and that's the next web container. We're going to replace JBoss Web, which is a Tomcat-based, with Undertow into Whitefly 9. Oh, it's actually already in Whitefly 8. Okay, so you can already have JSON, WebSocket out of Undertow today. That's what we use. Again, we also support. We work very closely with IntelliJ, NetBeans, not just JBoss Tools. JBoss Tools is actually, we have Eclipse guys in my team. They're working on tooling around Eclipse. But we also have capabilities. NetBeans and IntelliJ support Whitefly 8. Okay. So should E evolve? What's after E? I think today, it as a tail, especially since there is an inflection point at E6, we reached a very high level of productivity today, I think especially with E7. But what happened next? I don't think we want to evolve E to solve every single problem. It'll be too bloated, and the time also it takes to change is too long. New standard for integration, for sure. I think we have a lot of work to do there, beyond JMS, of course. Dynamic adaptability, you see now we have demands for self-healing capabilities, especially in the cloud, and standardized reactive framework. So you saw the lack of Node.js and Vertex. You see a lot of different shift in paradigm going from EE, Java backend services to developing reactive type framework. And that's there is a new standard committee that's been started actually in I think the last few weeks. And we have already two of our members from Red Hat joining that effort for standardizing it. So I think that's, if you look at the future of EE, is there to stay quite some time. We still have some COBOL running. And you see actually the different patterns, different framework emerging based on the type of patterns we have in the mobility, Internet of Things type development. So I think Java middleware needs to recast itself in the context of DevOps, cloud, and agility. And that's what we're doing with XPath. We announced XPath. It's not a new market. It's not a marketing word. It's actually a word where we try to find how we can assemble a new modern application platform. And I'll talk about it in the next few slides. The other next big thing is IoT. We don't really know where things are moving, but they're definitely moving. They're not going to stop. Probably maybe 20%, 30% of you have a watch that can, count your steps and give it back to your iPhone, and you monitor things. So there's lots of data coming through. So that will also drive big data. So whatever industry vertical, the application still need enterprise services, still need to be people from hardware. So we have so many different deployment environments, and we need elasticity. So we demo actually many times that we can develop from an environment like your laptop, deploy on the cloud, and save everything on GitHub. Do a change in different environments, deploy maybe your hybrid mobile application on different devices, maybe on the Internet of Things. So we have different requirements. Also, customers are very different. They want something that is immediate. Very often, more and more now you see maybe your boss going to see the customer and they're really talking, they want a proof of concept, not in weeks. Because typically before you order hardware, you have to do a PO, you have to, to go through a very lengthy process of acquisitions before you even start anything. Pervasive, it also needs to run on a number of runtimes, laptops, mainframes, mobile. I mentioned also Internet of Things. And I have some examples here I can aware. So I think today, if you develop applications that is just a mobile page within an app on a device, that's pure waste of resources of the phone. You're not getting proactive. You're not getting geolocation data. You're not leveraging the proximity information. You're not leveraging the profile of the user. So I think the winner in this world will differentiate themselves by these three tenants. Okay. So we have also different foundational capabilities, and that has changed. We're not just deploying on server only. And also the cloud itself is not sufficient today. There is so many devices, so I think we need to tap into the ubiquitous computing power. So that means all your devices, all the wearables, everything. Not everything will happen in the big data center. Okay. So what will such an application platform will look like? It will look like something that still needs to be lightweight. It will be able also to respond to the modern app developer. And what is the modern app developer today? And I've seen lots of people here, and actually in the last 2 or 3 years, we see in our booth, I think JBoss sometimes would be probably labeled as Java/JSF, type shop. But that has changed a lot. We changed a lot already 2 or 3 years ago by embracing the polyglot concept. So we do Ruby, Scala, Erlang, a number of JVM languages that we run and deploy. And I think that's what you see. You see a number of API developers. In the cloud also, today you'll have voice SMS APIs, so that are just a REST call away. You also can use like our unified push server if you want to basically put notifications to Google Cloud, iOS Cloud type devices with just one single entry point. It's just with one REST endpoint. And you see these API and backend services also are these new generation, the new app developers. So we have part of, I mentioned XPath. So one of the first constituents of that is not just the app server, but ability to integrate these services. So Red Hat JBoss Fuse is also, we have Apache Camel service mix. So we've acquired the technology and the people that work with us today. So we've released 6.1. So 6.1 is able to talk not only JMS, integrate also with Stomp, also consume MQTT type messages, especially if you have sensors in the wild that send this kind of machine-to-machine informations, sensors that send temperature or different informations, different data, you can consume and process that. But what do you do once you have that? So we have also BPM that's built on the well-known project, which is JBoss, JBPM, JBoss Rules, and our recent acquisition that we open source also, which is Polymeta. So you have a number of tools here that for people that are not interested in touching, that don't want to know about JPA, that don't want to know about APIs, they just want to know how to assemble a process together. So we support BPM2 notations, etc. And we also have graphical toolings available. So we had a big need to develop and to create a new modern application platform for the modern application development needs. So that's what we call XPath. So we could have put the integration part, the BPM part, as simple single things, not integrated together. But today, the XPath is actually our efforts to integrate and wire all these things together. And we've done a demo last week in San Francisco at the summit. You can see it on YouTube and some of these slides also, how we create an infrastructure from the ground up on laptops using OpenStack, OpenShift, the platform as a service, and also deploy our Fuse and our BPM capabilities. We have also an example that assemble a number of elements and trigger different processes, interact with Salesforce and other services dynamically. And that application was built during the summit. Okay, so these tools are integrated and here for you to develop product very quickly and deliver them on the cloud. If your boss is in San Francisco or in New York with the customers and you're here building a proof of concept, you can do that today just going on the cloud, just registering to OpenShift and downloading these cartridges. Okay? Or they're already there. You don't need to download, actually. The compute node is away from you. You don't have to provision. Okay? So I think that's a huge difference from probably 2 or 5 years ago. Okay, so I mentioned that's the integration together. And the future is, I mentioned about reactive frameworks. Java is there, but we see an emergence of that, and that's our project. In comparison to Node.js, we also allow you to run different type of runtimes, different languages, sorry. So you can run Java, Scalant, Ruby, so not just JavaScript. And Internet of Things. I know it's time out, but I was going to do a demo. I haven't had time to finish it, and only 20 minutes. But you see these kind of things today. Here I have a GPS module. I have a sensor to read light. I can talk to an Arduino platform, create an MQTT message, and push it directly. Invoke the REST endpoint. There's a Wi-Fi module here also. I can invoke the REST endpoint on the OpenShift platforms and trigger integrate with Fuse. You can read, consume my MQTT message, maybe have Bruno's process around it. So I'll probably, if I have time in the plane, start something like that and put it online and for you guys to use and play with. So we're here. I think today we're here, and there's a great promise. And the future is now, and the future is open. So I hope to see your GitHub, your commits, your questions. I know we're running out of time, and it was a pleasure. And thank you again for wishing me a happy birthday. I really appreciated it. Thank you.